Since I've started sharing my habit tracking online, I've been asked a couple of times which is my most important habit, and to that I say reading. So in this video, I will go through why I think reading is my number one habit, and then also why most of what I read and what I think gives me the most benefit is from books. And finally, I will go through what actions I take to read more and get more out of what I read. The reason why I put reading as my most impactful habit is because I feel like it's what has unlocked all the other habits I've built. Almost every major positive life change I've made has first started as a seed from some book or something else that I read. And I think reading is one of those things that kind of have more hidden benefits than we intuitively feel it should. It might seem like the benefits you get from books is the knowledge or new ideas inside of them. Like instead of reading, you could just watch your favorite YouTuber give their main takeaways from a book, and then you get most of the value from it, is what it feels like. I think when it comes to making changes, what will often happen in the case of a book is that it just focuses on a few core ideas that are often quite obvious or quite cliche. And it then just throws them at you from 1,000 different directions or tell you 1,000 different reasons for why it's important. And all you need is just for one of those instances to hit you at the right time, phrased in the right way, and that can lead to making changes. So how I like to think of it is that every time you pick up a book, you get one raffle ticket to the life-changing revelation lottery. And that's why I think it's important if you have a specific area of your life that you want to improve, like you want to improve your mood or productivity or find some direction in life, that you should just keep reading books around those subjects from different authors and different perspectives, because you never know what is going to resonate with you or what is going to lead to you making a change. There's a lot of really good ways to consume book-like media. You can do podcasts or audiobooks, and then there's a lot of great articles, and you can also read summaries. And I think all of those are great, and I use them in different ways. But I wanted to highlight why I think for me, reading books is the most valuable of these things. If you compare to audiobooks and podcasts, I think the most important distinction here is that the audio podcast is kind of like a water flow that just keeps pouring over you, whereas a book is more like a faucet that you need to turn on and off. Okay, I don't think that analogy actually holds water, but what I mean is, if you read a book and stumble over a paragraph that resonates with you in a particular way, then you just instinctively stop and maybe read it again or think about it. Whereas if the same thing happens in audio, yes, you can pause it and think about it, but the default is that it just keeps going and gives you a new idea in your head before you even have a chance to really catch what happened. There's a ton of things you can read online, like different articles, and you can also get summaries from different books, like from Blinkist. And while these things are still great and something that I use a lot when I want to explore new topics, I think there's two reasons why I find books much more impactful when it comes to actually making changes. The first one is that it's not just about getting the new idea or getting the knowledge. It is about getting it hammered into your skull until it sticks. So reading about the idea in different ways kind of helps reinforce itself. And then eventually the ideas prop each other up enough until something really sticks with you. I also think the challenge of reading a book helps you internalize the idea more. If you just read a tweet, even if it's something really insightful, you're just likely to read it and then move on with your life. Whereas if you sit down and put in 5 hours of concentrated effort to read a book, you're more likely to take the advice more seriously and actually take action. And finally, I think it's just a good habit to get into to be able to read things. You hear many people say that they don't read as much as they used to because they feel like their concentration is fragmented. And I do think the same is true in the opposite, where if you start reading more, your attention becomes less fragmented. I think especially if you're new to reading and you've never really built a reading habit, you want to focus first and foremost on reading something out of enjoyment, not because it has some tangible value. Fiction is a good place to start out reading for fun. Some of my favorite fiction books, which you should absolutely check out if you haven't read them, especially if you like fantasy sci-fi-ish things, is Harry Potter and the Methods of Rationality, Worm, and the Stormlight Archives. Something else that has helped me read more is just learning to drop books ruthlessly. I used to have this approach where I decided on a book to read and then I just had to finish it and that was it, because I decided on it for a reason, and I wasn't going to let me being bored or something make me not finish the book. But now I realize that this is just completely stupid, because there is just so many books that I'm never going to be able to read them all. So I just want to keep trying books until something resonates with me. I think this is especially true with the mindset that what you're looking for is just a few nuggets of value that impact your life, because there's not just going to be one great book on a specific topic that everyone has to read and that's going to change everyone. It is more just there's 1,000 different books on a subject, and you just have to keep trying things out until something gives you the information in the way you want to read it. Some tips on getting the most out of books. If you're reading books on a specific topic that you want to improve on, then you should be very deliberate about looking for at least one thing that you can take from the book and implement into your life. Another thing that can be really helpful for just internalizing the ideas is just talking to other people about what you read and just sharing the information and what you learned from it. I also make a lot of use of highlights and notes. I read on my Kindle. Whenever I come across a paragraph or a section that resonates with me in any way, I will just highlight it and sometimes write a little note. And then I import the notes on a Notion page for each book. Every couple of months, I will skim through the notes I have, or if there's something particular I'm thinking about, I'll go to the notes of that book. And it just helps me kind of re-internalize what I felt I learned from that book. Originally, I was going to make the video about the 3 books that had the biggest impact on my productivity. But I decided to make this video instead in hopes that more people will read those actual books. But I will have the video appear here when it's out, and if not, I will have some other video here. Hopefully, I have convinced some of you to build a stronger reading habit. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Wednesday.